Maura, thank you very much for making time to speak to us.
Thank you.
Right. After the speech by Finance Minister, we saw a negative reaction in the markets. And also South Africa is facing a weak economy, tax revenues that have a shortfall, and we have also a weakening rand. Do you think this budget was balanced?
The budget yesterday was certainly a reality check. The fiscal metrics that Minister Tito Mboweni had to communicate were sobering. And if you look at the budget deficit and debt to GDP ratios, for example, they're looking worse than projected in February of this year. And so the reaction from the market has been negative. The rand has weakened. And particularly interesting will be how credit rating agencies will react. Moody's is the last of the top 3 credit rating agencies that has kept South Africa's credit rating in investment grade territory. And so there will be a lot of anticipation to know how Moody's will react. However, it isn't all bad news. There was also a lot of emphasis on infrastructure investment, improving financial management across all layers of government and in state-owned enterprises, and there were also some measures for consumer relief.
What is advisable? Is it to reduce economic growth forecast from 1.3% to 0.7% to make it workable? Or is it a matter of saying we cannot make it like we expected, let's rather lower the standards?
So the National Treasury did have to revise down expectations for growth this year from 1.5% to 1.7%, which is disappointing. However, going forward, there is an expectation that growth will pick up in coming years to reach 2.3% by 2021. However, that is not what the National Development Plan had hoped for, and it isn't as much as is required in order to make a real dent in unemployment. And so it is important that the fiscal stimulus package will truly have a tangible impact on the economy so that hopefully over time the South African economy can grow at a much faster pace.
But is South Africa managing its debt well when you look at a deficit that is not really pleasing at the moment when you look at the area of 4%?
It is a difficult situation because as the economy has been performing more poorly, we just entered a technical recession in the second quarter, you will see a result in falling tax revenues. So unfortunately, the revenues that government has available for spending have been under pressure. And so it is a very difficult balancing act to make sure that sufficient funds are being directed towards investment spending and the most crucial areas in the economy. And that is why the reallocation under the fiscal stimulus package can do a lot of good.
So in a situation where we have a slow growth economy and bleeding jobs, how do you think the expected jobs summit will add value so that it can be a shot in the arm of the South African economy?
So there were a number of measures announced following the Jobs Summit, a commitment to make sure that certain sectors of the economy, private sector, labor, government, come together to turn the situation around. There was an extension of the youth wage subsidy, and so all of that can do a lot to build confidence and to implement the right measures that will make a difference.
So at the moment, there is corruption, and the governor, or rather the finance minister, said that corruption needs to be dealt with harshly, and those who are responsible must face the music. And he referred to the water crisis in Limpopo, in Venda, as the cesspool of corruption. Given that in South Africa we have not had anybody in the Steinhoff case and the VBS scandal not going to jail, do you think that if we could see heads rolling and seeing people go to jail, it will send a strong message out there that South Africa can stamp out corruption?
Absolutely, and this was also something that Minister Mboweni announced yesterday, that there would be forensic investigations into corruption, and where there are real cases to be found, then there have to be consequences, has to be accountability. And there was a strong emphasis that irregular expenditure across layers of government as well as in state-owned enterprises have to be stamped out, and that was a big focus yesterday.
All right, so going forward, do you see the economy turning around in not so distant future?
So there is an expectation that there will be an upswing in the economy over the next few years, hopefully exceeding even the National Treasury's expectations. However, in order to even reach 2.3% by 2021, the measures under the fiscal stimulus package have to be implemented and implemented well. Plus, public debt and irregular expenditures have to be reined in so that South Africa's financial wellness can be maintained going forward.
All right. Thank you very much for talking to us.
Thank you.
All right.